Here I am. Hello, it's Dustin Zarni, Democratic Elections Commissioner for Onondaga County, and welcome to Commissioner in the Car. Today is Monday, March 28th, and as we end the month of March, it certainly is not going out like a lamb here in Syracuse, New York, as the snowy winter has reappeared, but also it's not going out like a lamb for elections as well, as things are finally starting to get started here for elections. Not finally, we've had our village elections, but now we're starting to get into the real meat of the general election season, starting this week. And also we're going to get some decisions on where the kinds of money that the boards of elections will have to play with to upgrade our election systems over the next year or so. The first thing I want to talk about is election inspector classes. Those are starting here at the Onondaga County Board of Elections this Friday, April 1st. Not an April Fool's joke. We are starting on Friday. And if you want to work as an election inspector this year, whether you're working for the primary or the general, or for both, hopefully for both, we need you to sign up for a class. You have to do one class a year to be a regular inspector, two classes to be a voting system specialist, and 4 classes to be a poll site manager. Those classes can be done in our spring seminar that starts April 1st and runs to about mid-May, or in our summer round of classes that will start in late July and go until the middle of September. So if you don't get in this round, you can get in next round. But if you are interested in being an inspector, I really hope that you take the time to go to our website, onvote.net, and look at the inspector page and sign up. You can call or email and get signed up to be an election inspector. You'll be certified. You'll be given a certification test. You can call and sign up for that certification test. And if you want to work this primary, if you are an election inspector and want to work this primary, you need to take your class, your certification class, before the primary. So you have to do it in the spring seminar for the June 28th primary. So if you haven't got a letter yet and you're interested in working, give us a call, 315-435-VOTE, or go to onvote.net and go to the election inspector page and contact us through there to get signed up to be an election inspector. Later this month, or actually it's sometime in the month of April, I'll be doing a Sunday seminar on election inspectors to give kind of an overview about what they do. That'll be on tap for some time in April. I did launch a Sunday seminar this week. It was kind of a last minute thing, but I was scheduled to do it this week, but I ended up moving it up because I had a scheduling conflict for my Zoom with Zarni, and so I did a Sunday seminar on how to file objections and petitions. That is happening next week. So if you are interested in filing objections and petitions, check out that Sunday seminar. It's right on my feeds, and you can check that out and get ready for the big petition turn-in on April 4th through the 7th. That's when we're going to find out who our candidates are for the primary and for the general elections this year. We'll see if how many of our congressional candidates that have announced that they're running are going to file, how many gubernatorial candidates that have announced they're running are going to file. And that'll take place over the next few weeks, because there may be objections, there may be time frames. So starting April 4th, my commissioner in the car on April 4th will be a little bit of an overview about the petition process. But on April 11th, I'll preview who had filed and which primaries will be coming our way. So that's, stay tuned for that. There are a couple of things going on this week that are very important when it comes to boards of elections. When it comes to budget, there's the New York State budget is due on April 1st. That's Friday. We're waiting to hear, but only the New York State Senate put in $10 million for local county boards of elections to be funded to offset the costs for increasing early voting. It was not in the Assembly budget, but hopefully it will survive into the final budget. And we're fighting for that. If you're interested in helping us fight for that, give a call to your senator or your assembly person and say that you want to see election administration for county boards get funded. There is a lot of funding in there for the state board of elections, which is a good thing because it's going to fund programs like the public financing, online and automatic voter registration, all these things that are coming down the pike that the state board of elections funds. So there is a lot of funding in there, probably the best budget we've seen for the individual state board of elections. So hopefully that'll be done and ready to go. And but as I was getting ready to record this, I shared this on my feed. The President Biden's budget for fiscal year 23 came out. This budget, if it's passed, has $10 billion over the next 10 years to upgrade our election infrastructure throughout the United States. This is big time investment, best investment we've seen by a president in decades. And ever since the move and HAVA funding was put in place in early 2000s after the debacle of the Florida Bush v. Gore elections, this is the first election, first funding that we've seen that out of the federal government of this size. There was some funding during the pandemic, but that was specifically for that year. This would be a major upgrade to our election infrastructure. It would be something that would be critical and needed in every state, but especially New York State and especially Onondaga County. So hopefully that'll get passed. Well, if you're interested in helping us get that passed, call your congressman, your current congressman, and ask them to vote for this budget and vote for election administration in the $10 billion investment that President Biden is putting into the budget. So these things are kind of coming together over the next few weeks. We have petitions, we have budgets, and we have election inspector classes starting at Onondaga County Board of Elections. So it's very busy, and we're getting ready for the June primary. We'll find out which those candidates are. But the last thing I wanted to talk about is the governor's year. This is a governor's year. And why is that important? Why are there people, what is the importance of a governor's year in New York elections? Well, the governor's year is your organizational year. And the votes for governor will determine, which parties get enough votes to be permanent parties on the ballot. So currently we have 4: Democrat, Republican, conservative, and working families. They have to get so many votes, a certain percentage of the governor's election, which around 150,000 votes out of 9 million voters. So that's not that big of a margin, but bigger than it was 4 years ago when it was only 50,000 votes to stay on the ballot. Only four parties have stayed on the ballot with this new requirement. But this year you will see perhaps the Libertarian Green Party candidates are going to try to get back on the ballot, whether other parties like the Serve America movement that used to be a party, or the Independence Party that used to be a party will be a part of that. We're not sure yet, but we'll find that out as they file their independent nominating petitions by the end of May. But the governor's year is very important for that. It also determines the order of the parties on the ballot. So Democrats on line A have always got, or not always, there's 4 years there where during Governor Pataki's first term, where the Democrats did not get the most votes, and they were on line B for a little while. But we've been on line A. I think that was Governor Pataki's second term, because in his first term, well, yeah, I'll go into this. So this is interesting. So, we have fusion voting here in New York State. And in Governor Pataki's first term, when he beat then Governor Mario Cuomo, he, won that election, but it was very close. And actually, Governor Cuomo won more votes on line A, the Democratic line, than Governor Pataki did on the Republican line. But Governor Pataki got even more votes on the conservative line, and a Freedom Party that he had founded to run on as well. And thus, because he got more votes overall on those three lines than the Democrats, than Governor Cuomo did on his lines, he won the election. But because Governor Cuomo got more votes on the Democratic line than the Republican line, the Democrats stayed on line A, even though there was a Republican governor in Albany. But in his second term, in Governor Pataki's second term, he actually, handily beat then Comptroller Carl McCall, and the line A went back to governor, or to the Republicans for 4 years, and then Democrats took that back when Governor Spitzer, who was not governor for very long, but Governor Spitzer won that election pretty handily, and he took back line A. So those are that's another thing that is very important about a governor's year, is the most votes that you get on whichever line will determine what order the parties rest on the ballot. And finally, there's another thing that is very important in a governor's year, and that's control of the boards of elections. So the boards of elections in New York State are bipartisan boards. There's Democratic board of elections and Republican commissioners, and that's because they're the top two lines on in the governor's race. So whoever are the top two lines in the governor's race, top two parties that get enough votes, they're the ones who control the boards of elections. So that's usually Democrat and Republican, but there's been some years where the Conservative Party has been pretty close to the Republicans. And so if a third party got enough votes, they would have one of the top two jobs at the commissioner level at the Board of Elections. Now, I know that, there's always this, well, who's going to represent the non-enrolled voters? Well, both commissioners represent all voters. We don't just represent our parties, but the parties organize to select the commissioners because they are an organizational party. And I can tell you, in terms of voter enrollment, neither the Conservative or Working Families Party, the next two parties, or even the Independence Party that used to be a party, has enough registered voters inside their party to be able to organize boards of elections, as they cannot staff the polling places. It's not just about the commissioners at the top. It's not just about the workers at the Board of Elections itself, but it's also about the polling inspectors that run, the polling places. So if there was another party that ascended to that top two level, they would have to staff all these positions without the registered voters to do so. So it would be a significant challenge. But I think that's one of the reasons why we don't see a third commissioner or a third role in there, because there's just not enough enrolled in another party, or even on votes on those party lines to generate that as of the last few cycles. So those three things are very important in a governor's year, not just the control of the governor's mansion, but the parties becoming permanent parties over the next 4 years, where you can enroll in them, the orders of the parties for the next 4 years, and the control of the boards of elections for the next 4 years. Now, just becoming a party and just getting enough votes on the regular party line, you have to get enough votes on the presidential year as well to stay on the ballot. And that's what happened with the Independence Party 2 years ago. They didn't get enough votes on the presidential line and ended up falling off the ballot. So, along with a few other parties, I believe the Libertarian and Green and Reform parties all got less votes than they needed to stay on as parties on the ballot. So governors here are very important years for New York State. There's a lot of political power at stake, not just the executive offices in the governor's mansion. So consider that when you're thinking about what's at stake this year. All right. Well, I don't see any questions in the chat. This is kind of a quick commissioner in the car. Starting this week or continuing this week. I'm continuing my Wonky Wednesday series on the city of Syracuse. I'll be doing Common Council District number 2, the least populated Common Council District. I've already done Common Council District 1 and the city of Syracuse overall, and that is to support our friends at the Syracuse Redistricting Commission, which is undergoing their public meeting phase of their pre-draft public meeting phase of their redistricting. Their next meeting is April 7th at Henniger High School, so please go to that and tell us what you want. Tell them what you want. What you believe your neighborhoods are. They're having 5 meetings now until the time that they release their draft maps. They'll have 5 meetings after that, and then they'll have final maps and have 2 meetings after that. There's plenty of time for you to be part of these, and you should probably, if you're interested in how your districts are drawn, you should probably be at least one of all of these 3 different meetings, and try to be out there. I will have a Zoom with Zarni this week with Daniel Gardner of Empire Indivisible. We'll be talking about the indivisible organizations that have been propping up since the election of Donald Trump in 2016 and what they're doing now, and especially in New York. That'll be released on Friday. I think that's about it. All of this will be on my website at dustinzarni.com. Please make sure, if you'd like the content I'm giving, go and subscribe. It'll always be free. I pay for it out of my own pocket, and I make sure that I never take any outside money for it. It's part of my public education that I believe is part of my office. So please go there and subscribe. You can get election news and other content. And then, I think that's about it. Remember, next week will be petition filing week, so it's going to be a big week for Democrats, big week for elections, and budgets are coming. So, and yes, as Mark said, my friend from President on the Porch, stay warm. I hope you stay warm on your porch, Mark, if you're doing your stuff out there. I have the heat running in my car. I have a nice warm heater running right now, and you may hear it on the podcast. So, stay warm, stay safe, and remember, the BA2 variant of the Omicron virus seems to be coming our way into central New York. That may be why the cases are higher here in central New York in Onondaga County than anywhere else in the state, in terms of cases. While cases are gone up, hospitalizations and deaths have not yet. But the best way to continue fighting this virus is to be vaccinated, be boosted, and also if you are still concerned, you should wear upgraded masks, KN95s, and or N95 masks. Those are the best way. Yeah, we are at an 8.25% or 24% infection rate. That is pretty high. There is no mask mandate in public spaces, but you can wear a mask. There is a mask mandate in public transportation, so that's buses, airplanes, and yes, Ubers or ride shares, and of course in hospital and medical facilities. But some businesses still require it as well. So wear your mask, and especially upgraded KN95 masks or N95 masks, because then you're protecting yourself, not just protecting others from you. As we know, with the mask mandates being dropped, there's just not a lot of protection out there in the community for others. We are seeing a little bit of a surge. It's a small surge, but we are seeing a little bit of a surge. So, consider making sure that you are acting appropriately. Winter is not done with us, and we cannot just pretend that it's going to be okay. We have to make sure it's going to be okay. So protect yourself, protect your friends, get vaccinated, get boosted. Let's continue to fight this virus. So hopefully this summer, when and if it ever comes, will be a little bit more normal. Thank you very much, and enjoy your day. Bye-bye.